Let's take a look at Decentraland or Mana. This is the daily chart for Mana, and the data I have is to 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on November the 28th. Mana is currently trading at $4.77, or down over 2%. The entire market is struggling today because Bitcoin is down, and we all know that whenever Bitcoin decides to crap out on us, that causes everything to retrace. But so far, it seems like Mana is doing quite well after dropping to as low as 430, which is tested this 10 days moving average. It bounced right back up. Alright, first part of this video, we'll look at Mana in this 1 hour chart. Let's see how Mana would likely do in the short term. Mana was trading sideways for such a long time. Finally, near the end of October, broke out. Went on this massive bull run, ran all the way from about 70 cents to 4.95. This really proved a point that the longer it takes to trade sideways or in consolidations, the more momentum get built up. So the minute it break out, the momentum would propel the price to spike up a lot higher. After spike to 4.95, very much complete the first wave, price started to retrace, dropped, temporarily found support at around 270, then bounce up. The minute it hit 350, it get rejected. What happened here is when the price retraced, people who missed out buying in when the price was spiking up now see the price is retracing and it is a lot lower than before. So they jump in, and that causes temporarily spike up in price. But at the same time, when the price ran up to about 350, you have the selling pressure from the people who bought in low and missed selling when the price spiked up. And then they started seeing the price retracing. All of a sudden now they see the profits begins to evaporate. They get nervous. The minute they see the price spike up, they would dump. And that caused the price to retrace. So normally when you see a run up and then a retrace, there's always the second wave as part of this retracement. But after that, we tested the 350, get rejected, tested again, get rejected. So now 350 became a very tough resistance. The price then continued to retrace, and finally it found bottom as part of this retracement at 230, bounce up, consolidate, finally retested the bottom again at 230, found support. Now we have this double bottom, and the price began this bullish reversal, bounce up and retest this prior high at 350, got rejected, and then continue to go to the process of retesting this major resistance. So it went through 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, and finally it was able to cross over. And now the 350 became a major support. Also, one of the things to observe is after retesting it got rejected, it's retraced. The low here was higher than the prior low. By connecting these 2 points, that gives us an upward trend line. So this is an indication that Mana should following this upward trend line and trend higher. After crossover, this 350 ran to about 430, got rejected. So now 430 became this major resistance, and as you can see, it tried to retest it again. First, the second time, get rejected, drop all the way and retest this prior and retested the support line at 350, bounce up, tested again, and finally on the 4th time, it was able to cross over, and now 430 became a very strong support line. Then Mana continued this run up, crossed over this prior high at 495, ran to about 550, get rejected, retrace, bounce up again, and this time cross over 450, established this all-time high at 590, get rejected, retrace, found support at this prior low, bounce up, but the minute it tested the prior high at 550, it got rejected. So by getting rejected at 550, it was forming this little bearish head and shoulder. Let me clear this. So here you have is the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. Price continued to retrace, and the minute it broke down and dropped below this prior high at 495, that confirmed the breakdown of this head and shoulder pattern. Technically, this breakdown could take the price all the way down to about $4. Price retraced, but then found support right at the support level, which is the 430. Buyer stepped in, pushed the price up, ran up, retested this prior resistance at 495, yet rejected. So far, as you can see, MANA retraced, but every time when it tests the support, bounce right back up. So buyer are stepping in and they prevent the price from breaking down. But at the same time, every time when the price ran up and test this prior high at 495, seller step in and push the price down, prevent MANA from breaking to the upside. And that is why for the past couple of days, we see MANA very much traded within this very tight trading range from 430 to 495. Why MANA not able to cross to the upside? If we look at this chart, every time when MANA was able to break over a major resistance, let's look at this right at around 350. Took a long time to break to the upside, but when it did, it followed with very strong buying volume. Same thing at 430. The minute it was able to cross over that usually accompanied with this very strong buying volume. We haven't seen it at this point yet. Why? Because Bitcoin is in trouble right now, and normally when Bitcoin is retracing, buyers are hesitant to step in and push the price up, because when Bitcoin is retracing and if Bitcoin continue to retrace, there is always that possibility that could drag the price down, and the 430 may not be able to hold support. And if that was the case, we could potentially look at MANA drop down to 350, and that is one of the reasons that prevent trader from stepping in and push the price up so that it can break to the upside. Now, MANA seemed to bounce off 430 every time when the price dropped down to this level. So far, assuming that if Bitcoin were to stabilize, 430 seems like the bottom for this retracement. And if Bitcoin were to stabilize and trend higher, there's a very high probability that the price would bounce up and we would begin to see the second wave continue. One of the ways to verify whether or not 430 is indeed the bottom for this retracement is by looking at how much MANA has retraced after a major spike up in price. So if we look at the retracement from this point before it spiked up all the way to this high, that is roughly about 61.8%. Let's do the same thing after this retrace, spike up to this point. And then we have retraced down to about 277. The retracement is roughly at about 61.8%. Again, let's look at from this point to this point. Retrace down to this. Very close to 61.8%. So now if we look at from the time it bounced from this point to the all-time high at 5.9. At 430, it's very much within the 61.8%. So if history were to repeat itself, then this is likely the bottom. And we would see this thing would begin to move up the minute Bitcoin stabilized. So this is what we are looking at. If Bitcoin stabilized and trend higher, I expect MANA to continue the second wave. The first major resistance point would be right at 495. Cross over that, then we're looking at 550. Cross over the 550, then the all-time high at 590. MANA would likely run up to about 750, and that is assuming the extension from this all-time high to this point is the normal of 161.8% extensions. But I do expect the momentum should push the price much higher. Now on the flip side, in the event if Bitcoin continue to crap out on us, the first major support level would be at 430, and so far that seem to provide a very strong support. A breakdown, then we are looking at 350. Mana is definitely provides a tremendous trading opportunity. This is how I would approach the trade. Right now, Mana is trading at 450. It is trading sideways within this range. Given the fact that we don't know whether or not Bitcoin would continue to retrace, if Bitcoin does that, Mana would likely retrace. The last thing I want to do is open a position at 450 and then see the price continue to retrace after that and get stuck with the price, let's say trading as low as like 350. What I would do is wait until Mana can find enough buying support and cross over this major resistance at 495. So the minute Mana trade at $5 and stabilize over that, that would be my entry point. Because every time when we look at the past, the minute it can cross over a major resistance, the resistance tend to become a major support. That's what I would prefer to see. 495 become a major support before I enter the trade. I would then take 25% off when Mana retests the all-time high at 5.9, and then another 25% off when it ran up to about 660, and then the remaining 50% I would take all off when the price hit my target price of 750. All right, so that was more for like a quick trade. So let's look at the daily chart. The chart's still looking very bullish. Mana spiked up, the Bollinger Band expanded, contracted, and then expanded again. This is part of the second wave. Mana continued to trade over this 10 days moving average. This is very important. Every time when it tests the 10 days, bounce right back up. This definitely an indication that the price would likely continue this upward trend. The 10 days continue to lead the 50-day as well as the 200. We had this golden cross when the 50-day crossover and lead the 200 days. Volume is slowing down. That's why we see this sort of like sideways trading. But very likely that the minute Bitcoin stabilize, we would see volume pick up. Mana would likely continue the run up as part of the second wave. The retracement, I think, is just temporarily. It's just a reaction to the drop in Bitcoin. For long term, right now, I believe would be a very good opportunity to slowly accumulating Mana. I would continue to accumulate until the price reached a max of $5. Because as part of the second wave, Mana would likely run up between the $7.50 to as high as $12 as part of the second wave. That's it for this video, and don't forget to click that like button and reward me with a like if you appreciate the content that I'm presenting. Also, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and subscribe, and make sure you turn notification on. And if you have Twitter, make sure you follow me at Vietmaxim, because I provide constant update on all of our favorite cryptos.